listening to the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast, broadcast in early October 2022. You must listen to this episode about alternative multimedia, or you will be exterminated. Now you must listen to Ranger Hines.
They all say, who is Doctor Who? Where is he from? What does he do? They wonder, who is Doctor Who? So I ask you, who's Doctor Who?
Welcome back to the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast, the podcast that explores the multimedia world of Doctor Who collecting and related merchandise. Welcome back to the show. I am Larry Van Mersbergen, your host. Of course, I've been collecting Doctor Who now for 41 years. That's a long time. And back in the day, in 1984, I opened the first Doctor Who store to actually serve Doctor Who fans. We weren't a brick and mortar place. We were like a moving convention. We kind of started that trend and went from fan club to fan club. We set up a table and we took care of the people that needed to find Doctor Who items, and we did that. And of course, that led to bigger and greater things, which was completely out of my hands. And of course, we're mentioned in a wonderful book called Red, White, and Who, The Story of Doctor Who in America. And of course, Bundles from Britain lives on page 384. And that is a wonderful book written by some wonderful friends of mine. And it details a little bit of the history of Doctor Who in America. It's we kind of get the Bundles from Britain gets the mostly harmless treatment, to quote a Hitchhiker's reference. And of course, they didn't know much about it. They were just given the name and not the story behind it. And I've told this story many, many times in many places, many conventions. I've been talking about this for many, many years, and it actually does lead to the eventual creation of what was called the Visions conventions and later Chicago Tardis. So I'm very close to those things. I didn't create those things myself. That was my business partner who broke away from me. We parted on good company. Don't worry. I was ready to go to college. I was very young. He took the baton and ran with it. And of course, he and I have been friends for more than 30 years. It's been a great time. Anyway, you can get a great buy on this book here on our front page of the website at drwhocollectors.com. And we don't get any money for it, but please support the wonderful people that put the time and research into that book. We are part of the Direction Point Doctor Who Podcast Network, and it is growing leaps and bounds. You can find great podcasts there, including Time Streams, Police Box in a Junkyard, the Doctor Who Target Book Club podcast, The Old Doctor Who Show, Traveling the Vortex, and now welcoming Doctor Who Literature. So for more information, go to directionpoint.org. Speaking of links, of course, I always include two wonderful links for collectors. If you're new to the podcast, you don't have to go back to old episodes for this information. If you've already heard this, you can hit the 30-second fast forward. But anyway, first one includes timelash.com, and under that heading, the TARDIS Library. Create a free account today to keep track of your media items from Doctor Who. That's anything that's film, videotape, laserdisc, paperback, hardcover, record, cassette, anything like that you can keep track of. You can also create want lists. In many cases, he's got Amazon links to some products. Sometimes there's an eBay link if one is available. I will be doing a masterclass on how to do the correct searches on eBay very soon to help collectors, and also to work with Abe Books to help find you the books you need to fill your collection. Special thanks to Dan O'Malley for the timelash.com website. If you need to do some research, you need to find out if an item exists or an item has some information or what the original price might have been, then you need Howe's Transcendental Toy Box. You'll find that at doctorwhotoybox.co.uk, and that is run, of course, by our good friend David J. Howe, who you will see virtually at Doctoberfest coming up in October 22nd here just outside Indianapolis. I'll talk more about that in a few minutes. Of course, if you're shopping for Doctor Who items, then you need to look no further than DoctorWhoStore.com. It's in the name, and that is where my former partner and good friend Gene Smith runs Alien Entertainment. And they are running sales on many items. They recently sold a copy of Doctor Who and the Smugglers hardcover. They had one, a non-library copy, very unusual to have. They had one. They have a lot of science fiction items there too. They're open Wednesday through Saturday. If you shop online, you can choose free pickup from the store if you're local to Chicago area, western suburbs. Visit the store in downtown Lombard. It's a wonderful place. Usually Karen is there or one of the employees. They're always nice and they'll always take good care of you. You can also buy from Forbidden Planet, which is one of our sponsors, but you don't need to go anywhere. You just need to go to our website at DoctorWhoCollectors.com, click on merchandise links, and you can shop for your favorite Forbidden Planet items and also help the podcast. It's because we get a small proceed from anything you buy through us. Also, don't forget our own eBay store. We have a wonderful selection of Target books, hardcover books, and other goodies, and outside of Doctor Who items as well. And all proceeds benefit the podcast. In addition to all podcasts posted on our website, we also have one of the first and complete guides to the Doctor Who classic hardcover books. Those are the books published by Alan Wingate through W.H. Allen, from the Auton Invasion to the Smugglers, 1974 to 1988. We even list the Muller books, the White Lion books, the Aeonian/Amarone prints, and also the Nelson Doubleday books. Any hardcover classic Doctor Who book that fits in that timeline in publication order, including ISBN number, and we try to update what the current going price is. What we found on closed auction sites, we don't use open auction sites for prices because that's not accurate, or something listed on Amazon or Abe Books. Also, it could sit on Abe Books for months. So that also is not an accurate way to keep prices. But check it out. We've just received some new sources to help up that guide, so we're going to keep that up and running for you. It's free of use. We are now counting down to Chicago Tardis. That is coming up during this coming Thanksgiving weekend at the wonderful West End Hotel in beautiful Lombard. So far, here are the guests for Chicago Tardis. We have Sylvester McCoy, the Seventh Doctor. Fraser Hines will be there, of course. Jason Haig-Ellery, the CEO of Big Finish. We have Sophie Aldred, who plays Ace in the old and new series. And we also have Lauren Cornelius, who plays Dodo Chaplet for Big Finish. And if you've been following this podcast and you remember the interview I did with Lauren not long ago, I made a promise to her that if she came back to Chicago, I would take her out for Chicago pizza. And so it's on. She's coming back to Chicago, and in addition to that, Fraser Hines wants to come along. So this might be a very fun adventure. I may even have to just hit the record button and see what happens if I get their permission. We'll see what happens. Also, for this here, we've got Stephen Noonan, who plays the First Doctor for Big Finish, and the very talented Tim Traylor, who voices the Third Doctor. I can't wait to meet him. Since I met John Pertwee back in the 80s, I just absolutely, he's my favorite Doctor from my childhood. And lastly announced, the wonderful Wendy Padbury will be there. She played, of course, Zoe Harriet with the Second Doctor. So I would keep a lookout for special photo packages such as Ace and the Seventh Doctor and Jamie and Zoe. So if you're a favorite of cosplay for the Second Doctor, that might be your opportunity to do that. Do this while they're still coming to the conventions. Of course, it is the best convention in the Midwest. We're not Gallifrey 1, but we are Chicago Tardis, and we are our own great convention. So please, don't compare apples to oranges here. We are a different convention. I've been honored to be the collecting expert for Doctor Who Chicago Tardis, and I present Doctor Who collecting. This year, we're hoping to get Doctor Who Collector's Showcase off the ground. That's a little different show than I've done in the past couple of years. But I've also done the virtual panel. So if you want to check out my show, you can go to the YouTube page for Chicago Tardis or my YouTube page at Doctor Who Collectors Podcast. You can select the playlists and you'll find that video and other great videos on our YouTube page. Special thank you to our sponsors. I've already mentioned Forbidden Planet, but don't forget Bags Unlimited Incorporated. That's bagsunlimited.com for all your protection needs. They have bags for virtually everything, not everything, but most things. And of course, you can, do that, we have that wonderful protection program here. That collection protection is brought to you by them. So one more link I want to share, of course, is Telos Publications. That's telos.co.uk. They do ship to the United States, and if they don't, they also list where you can get it in the United States. Sometimes Who North America, sometimes Alien Entertainment, or another retailer. What's going on? Well, I've already talked about one thing, Chicago Tardis. I'll mention that again, but you can see me presenting 2 collecting panels at Doctoberfest. That's in Indianapolis, Indiana, on Saturday, October 22nd at the Holiday Inn in Canby. Tickets are still available from Who North America, so put that into your Google machine, or Doctoberfest 2022, or find the Facebook page and you can get more information. Virtual guests this year include some wonderful people, including some of my friends, David J. House, Sadie Miller, and Keith Barnfather. And of course, I will be presenting there as well. You'll also see me at Chicago Tardis 2022. So watch the space for updates. I've basically proposed a bunch of ideas for panels. I usually get them, but there's no guarantee, of course. So keep that in mind. And with any luck, I'll be returning to the Gathering of the Geeks at Consinity 2023 in beautiful Milwaukee, Wisconsin at the Milwaukee School of Engineering University. I will also be appearing in cosplay for the very first time in my life. I've never done it before. I will be the 5th Doctor, and you can see a picture of that costume on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. I've got them all there. Lots of positive feedback so far from my dear friends asking me, where did I get everything from? And most of the costume is handmade. So some of the things I got, like the cricket sweater, I ordered from a cricket sweater supplier in the UK. The fedora hat I got from a hat distributor. The band was made specifically for that. The trousers were handmade with the suspenders, with the question marks and all that. And the shirt was handmade as well. The jacket was handmade also. So I can't wait to I also have a real cricket ball, and I have a replica sonic screwdriver for the 5th Doctor. He's always been one of my favorites, and I was supposed to play the 5th Doctor in a film that my fan club was going to make back in 1984 called The Shadow Lord, from the many companions of Doctor Who. We even had a fictional 7th Doctor, which we didn't know was even going to happen at that point. So it was really quite fun. Also, just keep that in mind. New to the collection. This is what came in since the last recording. I got a script book that contains 6 original scripts of Shada. And I found out that came with the UK VHS edition of Shada. So this book was by itself, and I was curious about it, so I picked it up. It wasn't very expensive. But now I got to find a copy of the VHS tape, which shouldn't be too hard at all. I did get a copy of Doctor Who and the Daleks on the White Lion publisher, and I didn't realize there were 2 different variants of that book. There was a variant with a dust jacket, which I was hoping for, but I got the other variant, which is a laminated cover. It's not a library laminated cover of the dust jacket. This is an actual laminated book. It is ex-library, but it's a wonderful copy and very hard to find those books. Also, I got a book set which contains some of the newer Target books that were shrink-wrapped together without a slipcase. So I was curious about it. I checked the barcode and the ISBN, and those came back as Doctor Who and the Cybermen. but it includes that plus the Crusaders, the Auton Invasion, the Cave Monsters, the Abominable Snowmen, and Doctor Who and the Daleks in one package. Some people have come back to me with maybe a bookstore did it or a retail outlet shrink wrapped it and put their own price on it. I kept them in the shrink wrap. I thought it was interesting. It's a collectible, and I thought, what a cool thing. Also, I got a TARDIS Corgi set from 2003, the Corgi Toy Company. Inside the TARDIS, it unfolds and it has Bessie, Davros, K9, Dalek, and Cyberman figures, all metal figures there. Very cool. And today I just got a copy of Bessie Come Home by Paul Majors, read by Stephanie Cole on CD from BBC Audio. I am very curious to listen to this. It's stories about a brand new feature story featuring the Doctor's car, Bessie. So it's one CD, running time about 1 hour and 18 minutes. So I'll be listening to that into the car this week, and I'll report back on that. So that's all that's coming in for the collection this month. We'll update you on the next episode what that happens as we get closer to convention season. We'll be doing a few more episodes just for that. In any case, trying to find... Oh, I forgot about one more other thing, too. I also got a Doctor Who Virgin Books bookstore display. It is 10 inches by 40 inches long. I'm trying to find a bag to fit it, but it's really nice, and I don't remember seeing this. It probably came from the UK, and it's beautiful. I just love that. So we talk with collectors. Let's talk about your collection. Share your story with me. Guest host the program. I'll turn the microphone over to you. You can talk about your collection. I'm happy to moderate and answer questions or just listen and just enjoy your talk, because we just enjoy the art of collecting is a very important thing. So you can just email me at drwhocollectorspodcast@gmail.com, and we can get that together. So on today's show, I'm covering the alternate media of Doctor Who. There's two items in particular I'm going to bring forth here. The Chad Valley Doctor Who Give-A-Show Projector from 1965 and the Doctor Who what we call Viewmaster slides from the early 80s. And that's with, of course, the State of Decay and Castrovalva, these three-dimensional pictures that needed a special viewer or a projector to see. I have both a projector and a Viewmaster, so I will see what I can do about putting a video together for that for our Patreon fans. So make sure that you find us on Patreon, by the way. You can find us there at patreon.com/Doctor Who Collectors Podcast. At the $15 level or above, you get full access to all of our extra content. You won't find it anywhere else. And especially the video interviews where we're showing the stuff out, and we're talking with our guests live. You can see them, and it's really a lot of fun. And plus, all the proceeds help us keep on the air. So you can be a sponsor at any level, of course. You can also support us at Podbean. That's drwhocollectors.podbean.com, and click on the Patreon button. Of course, money is always a problem here, but we are still raising money to bring Doctor Who legend Peter Purves to our podcast. He, of course, played Stephen Taylor with the first Doctor. Our goal is exactly what the agents are asking for, and that's $271. One person could knock that out if you wanted to hear Peter's interview. You, of course, would get early access to that interview through, I would email you that episode or share it with you first about a week before it gets aired. And then, of course, we will mention you on the podcast as a sponsor of that segment. And Mr. Purvis, of course, will thank you as well. So your sponsorship will be included there. So you can go to our website at drwhocollectors.com, click the donate button, and make sure you put Peter Purvis in the message. Any money we receive above that $271 for Peter Purvis will go to Mr. Purvis as an honorarium if he'll accept it. Our theme song is Who's Doctor Who, composed by Barry Mason and Les Reed, performed by Fraser Hines. In addition to Fraser on the track, we learned that Jimmy Page plays guitar. He's from Led Zeppelin, and I believe the drummer is from Lady Marmalade. So quite a crew there. I mean, if you listen to that guitar work on there, it's quite amazing. But Mason and Reed, of course, wrote many hits, most of them for Tom Jones, but they also wrote for Edison Lighthouse and other people too. So check that out. Wonderful stuff. So stay tuned. We'll be coming up with collection protection, the main story, and our most outrageous offer. Stay tuned.
Are you ready to travel through time with us? Then check out Traveling the Vortex, a Doctor Who podcast. For nearly 7 years and more than 500 episodes, we've traveled from one end of the vortex to the other, making different stops with different doctors, reviewing everything from TV stories to audio plays, from books to comics, and more. Sean, Keith, and Glenn take you on a journey through 50-plus years of Doctor Who episodes and spin-off materials. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts, so be sure to check us out. And now, we're a proud member of Direction Point, a Doctor Who podcast network. You're listening to the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast. Keep collecting.
Hi, I'm Juliet.
And I'm Nathan.
Experience Doctor Who from the very beginning through a classic fan's eyes.
And through the eyes of a new Who fan.
Reminisce and relive those classic moments with Nathan as he offers fun insight.
Or experience them for the first time with Juliet as she dwells on social issues, history, fashion, and the size of a flashlight.
We're the Time Streams Podcast.
Find us on Spotify, Stitcher, or Apple Podcasts. You're listening to the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast. Keep collecting.
Sad, really, isn't it? People spend all their time making nice things, and other people come along and break them.
And now it's time for collection protection. Today I want to talk about something very specific and very, very important for the important collector who wants to keep their gatefold vinyl albums, and I'm talking about the ones from Big Finish or the ones from 1970s or something that's a little bit larger than a standard LP. And there's a few of those in the Doctor Who world, but Bags Unlimited Incorporated, one of our sponsors, has come out with a brand new archival 12-inch LP gatefold sleeve. It measures 25.5 by 12 and 13/16 on the inside, 4 mil polyester with 2 pockets. So there's a center slit, so you could slide your gatefold album into that to keep it from folding. Basically, it would keep the album straight, which is another way. There's a lot of argument out there about how you should keep gatefold albums. If you keep them folded, then the binding wears down over time, or should you flatten them out and leave them open? Well, when they're printed open, obviously, and then they're folded and the album's inserted. And I noticed just from one of the Big Finish albums I got, I think it was Dalek Universe 2, when I got the initial order and I had pre-ordered the album, it came shipped, and then it came with a letter saying, "We are very sorry. We accidentally sent you a misprinted album sleeve," and it's true, the binding didn't have any printing on it. So I thought, hey, accidental collectible. That's another topic. But the other thing was when they sent the replacement sleeve, like they promised to, it was sent flat. It wasn't sent folded. So I thought, I wonder if that's the way it should be kept. But anyway, these are museum grade archival sleeves. In other words, this is permanent storage. This is not for every collector. So if you're not a collector who's looking to keep things forever, then maybe you can, hit the 30-second forward on this one. Anyway, these fits over the gatefold jacket, 7/8 slit in the center, so you can still fold it if you need to, or you could keep it open. And you can get 10 of these for $74.43, and that's the museum grade quality. You gotta, the more you want to protect something, the more you're going to pay for it. And I know that when I recently got some museum grade poster backing boards, a set of 5 was almost $80. And boy, is it worth it. That material is solid. I mean, it will not, it's acid free. It's not going to yellow with age. It's not going to change. And if you're a hardcore collector and you're looking for something really interesting, now I'm going to have this link to this product on our website. And I think you should check it out if you want to keep your gatefold albums. And by the way, if you collect other gatefold albums, I have several outside of the Doctor Who world. I have Beatles records, I have older records that are gatefold itself, and I thought, well, this might be the solution. But and of course, there is a quantity discount too. If you buy 25, it's $153.91. If you buy 50, it's $281.83. You buy 100 of them, it's $45.48. So there is a little bit of a break of the price. And by the way, these prices are subject to change, and it doesn't include tax and shipping. So check this out on the website, drwhocollectors.com. Select this podcast episode. It'll be right at the top of the page if you're just looking there, or slightly beyond that, and you'll find that information under collection protection on the page there. So I'm talking about museum grade archival gatefold sleeves. I've talked to Bags Unlimited about them, and they were unable, because of the cost involved. They usually typically will send me a couple of samples to try out, but they said they could not on this case here because of the cost of these sleeves. So I of course respect that. That's, got to make money, but I said I would talk about them anyway, and they always are happy that we talk about them. BagsUnlimited.com, 1-800-767-2247. If you do call, make sure you tell them you heard about it on the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast. That's collection protection. Stay tuned.
Up there is the scanner, those are the doors, that is a chair with a panda on it. Sheer poetry, dear boy.
And now it's time for the main story. Today I decided to do some research into some alternative media that was produced for Doctor Who by two different companies who also produced this media for other types of shows and cartoons and things of that nature. So it was kind of interesting that there was a large gap in time between these two things, but it was really cool that they were marketing some of these things prior to when videotape recording was available, and even in the 80s when that stuff was available, but it was still aimed at getting kids involved in different aspects of television and media. So I'm going to talk about two different areas of collectibles today. We're going to start back with the Chad Valley Company. The Chad Valley Company has its roots in a printing business that was established by Anthony Bunn Johnson in the early 19th century in Birmingham. And basically, he moved the company to Harborne, to a stream, a valley with a stream, I guess, that's called Chad Brook. So he gave the name Chad Valley after the name of the area. So that was kind of cool. They actually have a very interesting history. They expanded their range to soft toys before World War I, where they mass-produced the new teddy bears. And in 1938, the company received a royal warrant as toy makers to the Queen when the late Princess Elizabeth became the Queen in 1952. The warrant was changed to read, toy makers to His Majesty Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, because it transferred to her mother. The company moved away from manufacturing toys in the Second World War, and instead they helped the war effort by making wooden instrument cases for barrels and anti-craft guns, hospital beds, and electrical coils and such, as many companies did during that time. The box cover of a 1930 jigsaw of Kennard's RMS Aquitania made by the Chad Valley Company. So it's basically kind of cool. I'm going to have a picture of that on the website, so you can check that out. In 1945, after the war was over, they resumed toy production. They made tin plate toys for, basically that they eventually outsourced to another company. And a new tin plate range, which was a success in 1946, so they started doing more in-house stuff. They purchased the Birmingham metalwork company called A.S. Cartwright to cut and fold metal. So this is really kind of interesting. And then in 1956, the radio broadcaster Kenneth Horne became the director of the company, and the company became one of the UK's leading toy makers of the 20th century. And by 1960, it was operating 7 factories, employing 1,000 people. And in the 70s, though, unfortunately, it had to close due to cutbacks in the economy changing. So interesting enough, in 1975, 2 factories remained, and the company was taken over by Palitoy. That should be a name that rings a bell with you, since they made the talking Dalek, the talking K9. So interesting stuff there. The brand name was then bought by a different company in 1988 by Woolworths, and remained in use until 2009, when Woolworths declared bankruptcy. So the Home Retail Group purchased the brand for £5 million in 2009, and Chad Valley became the exclusive property at Argos. And in March of 2016, Sainsbury's bought the Home Retail Group, and Chad Valley is now a brand of Sainsbury's. That's another name that should pop into your head, because Sainsbury's had a major deal with Big Finish Productions to produce special release vinyl recordings. So there you have it. That's the brief history of the Chad Valley Company. But why is it important here? Now, many of you already know, because I said Chad Valley, and it's a popular item. The Doctor Who Give-A-Show Projector was produced in 1965. It came with a flashlight-like projector and 112 color slides that created 16 complete stories. It comes in a very large box with really good artwork on the front cover. So you can see photos on our website, or you can Google this. There's many photos out there. A lot of listings for this particular item call it ultra rare, which is a word I really avoid using. But I will contest that, because I've counted more than 40 for sale in the last couple of years, and more are popping up every day. You can find them anywhere from $300 on up, depending on the condition of the box and whether the projector works or if all the slides are present. I have one in my collection. The projector does work. Many of the slides have been warped, though, over years of being stored in a damp environment. But however, with a little straightening, I can get the slides to work just fine. This was a great way to enjoy Doctor Who by projecting these stories on a wall or a movie screen back in the mid-60s. It was one of the ways alternative media was used, since, of course, video recording was not available at this time. Give-A-Show also did other releases, too, with Mickey Mouse, Popeye the Sailor, The Jungle Book, and in the late 70s, Star Wars. You can view all of these slides in the extra features of a copy of Doctor Who and the Zarbi on DVD. We moved to the 1980s. That's a long gap from 1965, but there wasn't much produced in this type of media. Maybe when I'm thinking of things that would be projected or viewed in a media type of fashion, there were a lot of promotional photos, BBC issued photos, lobby cards, and things like that, posters, but that's a whole different subject. Viewmaster might be a name you might know. It's a trademark name of a line of special format stereoscopes and corresponding Viewmaster reels, which are thin cardboard discs containing 7 stereoscopic 3D pairs of small transparent color photographs on film. It was originally manufactured and sold by Sawyer's. So the Viewmaster system was introduced in 1939. 4 years after the advent of Kodachrome color film. And some of you young people are scratching their heads, but that's okay. You can always Google what you don't understand. They made the use of small, high-quality photographic color images practical. Tourist attraction and travel views predominated in Viewmaster's early list of reels, most of which were meant to be of interest to users of all ages. Most of the Viewmaster reels, though, are intended for children. In 1966, Sawyer's was acquired, by the General Aniline and Film Company, better known as GAF. And as a kid, I remember GAF very well. They were in all the Sears and Montgomery Ward's catalogs. And once again, my younger listeners scratching their head, use your Google machine to figure out what I just said. Anyway, under GAF's ownership, Viewmaster reels began to feature fewer scenic and more child-friendly subjects, obviously to expand their market. So toys and cartoons. Television series were featured on Viewmaster reels, such as Doctor Who, which was only sold in the UK, Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In, Star Trek, The Man from U.N.C.L.E., Family Affair, Here's Lucy, and the Beverly Hillbillies. And actor Henry Fonda did a number of TV commercials for the Viewmaster product. From 1970 to 1997, there were versions of talking Viewmasters, which included audio technology with the reels of three major designs and increasing sophistication. And of course, in the early 70s, they had the Viewmaster rear screen projector. I have one of those, and that's kind of a neat way of, at conventions, I'll show the Doctor Who Viewmasters through that, which is kind of neat. It's a small image, but at least everybody can see it. There was also a screen projector, a tabletop projector that displayed images from picture wheels, and I have one of those as well. Unfortunately, it doesn't work with the Doctor Who reels. In 1980, they released the Showbeam projector, another one that combined their stereoscopic and flashlight technology to produce a handheld projector. The beam used small film cartridges and were plugged into the side. That's a different projector from what I have. Mine works with the reels. In 1981, GAF sold Viewmaster to a group of investors, and the company was reconstituted as the Viewmaster International Group. So, in 1985, Viewmaster entered into a video arena by starting Viewmaster Video and teamed up with Warner Brothers. Records on a new live-action educational video series produced by Together Again Productions, Kid Songs, developed for the educational market. In 2019, Mattel partnered with MGM to announce an upcoming feature film based on the Viewmaster. The project was co-piloted by Robbie Brenner of Mattel's Films and MGM's Cassidy Lang. There have been 25 viewer models, thousands of titles, and 1.5 billion reels produced. The basic design remained intact for pretty much the entire time, despite its long history and changes in models and materials, ensuring that every reel will work no matter what model Viewmaster you have. That was brilliant. They were recognized as part of the National Toy Hall of Fame, and which is exciting. So on to what's specific for us here. In 1981, GAF in the UK released the first Doctor Who Viewmaster with scenes in 3D from the story Full Circle, featuring Tom Baker. There were 3 reels and 21 pictures. They were sold in a sleeve that is about 8 inches by 5 inches and has Tom Baker's photo on the front. You can find these sealed for around $50 today and opened maybe around $25. I have a copy that is sealed. But I also have a set of reels that included, I bought these at a garage sale, that included the Castrovalva reels that I'll talk about in a moment that were separate. So I was able to take those out and use those for demonstrations. This one is hard to find, but in 1982, GAF released the Doctor Who Viewmaster gift set, which was in a box that included the Full Circle with the viewer in the box, pictures of Tom Baker and some of the scenes on the front. You can see my website for a photo. I do not have one in the collection, and I have not seen one for sale in a good many years. You could spend up to $400 for a sealed model or $250 for an open one. Very hard to find. You can also find some good photos on the Howe's Transcendental Toy Box, so you can find that there. It's toy. I'll get the link is on our website, and we'll get that there. In 1983, Viewmaster released the second and final Doctor Who Viewmaster set with scenes from Castrovalva, 3 reels and 21 pictures in a sleeve similar to the one previously released, featuring Peter Davison on the cover. These are also relatively easy to find and could fetch about $50 sealed and $25 open. So if you're looking for and of course the Viewmaster viewers themselves, I've seen at garage sales for a couple of dollars that still work. eBay maybe 12 to 20. The projector I think was 30. That was kind of a neat thing, and it really works well. So that basically, covers that. And that basically wraps up our alternative media. So if you have any questions about the Chad Valley Give-A-Show Projector or the Viewmaster Doctor Who products, you can always send me a quick email at drwhocollectorspodcast@gmail.com, or stop me at any number of conventions that I'm going to be at this fall, including Doctoberfest, Chicago Tardis, and possibly Consinity in Milwaukee. So thank you very much for listening, and stay tuned for the most outrageous offer.
Hello, fellow time travelers, and welcome to the Doctor Who Target Book Club podcast, the only podcast to discuss, in story order, all the Doctor Who novelizations. My name is Tony Whitt, and every 2 weeks or so, I'm joined by a 2 to 3 person discussion panel, including our so-called expert who's been a Who fan since 1979. That would be me. We also get the views of intermediate, casual, and novice fans who either have never seen the show or who have never read these books until these podcasts, including
Dalton Hughes
and
Alison Fitz-Seyfried.
You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you find good podcasts, or even ones like ours. You're listening to the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast on the Direction Point Podcast Network. Keep collecting.
You are invited on an adventure across all of time and space, in a completely random order. It's the Police Box in the Junkyard podcast. Jump in the TARDIS with your hosts,
Eric Gulbranson,
Asad Kheshki,
and
Matthew Kressel.
Explore Doctor Who TV stories, audio adventures, and books, both novels and non-fiction. The Police Box in the Junkyard podcast. It's the entire Whoniverse on shuffle. The Police Box in the Junkyard podcast is a member of the Direction Point Network and is available about once a month wherever you find your podcasts. You are listening to the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast. Keep collecting.
There is no plot. I am being completely honest with you.
And now it's time for the most outrageous offer, the part of the program where we take a look at an item that was submitted to us or we found on our own that is a Doctor Who item, a book, figure, whatever it is, anything to do with Doctor Who, that seems a bit crazy on the price, especially when others can be had for a lower price. That was more important there. Anyway, we have here, we have a Doctor Who official 50th anniversary annual by BBC, which came out in 2013. Obviously, many people have this already. I have one in my collection. I paid retail price for it. This is an eBay buy it now offer, so it should be up there a while. I'm going to, the link, of course, will be on our webpage at drwhocollectors.com. The seller is SADRAM, SADRAM-24, with 561 stars with 100% positive feedback. He is located in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and it looks like the shipping is $4.95, so far so good. But the buy it now price is $1,999, or $96 for 24 months with PayPal credit. Wow. Even for less than one payment of that PayPal credit, you can have a copy of this for as low as $6. And even possibly some new copies for around $12 or $13, maybe as high as $20. But definitely do not pay $2,000 for this. This is, even the first Doctor Who annual isn't worth $1,999 here. That's crazy. And I can't believe that this was out there, and this was something that just popped out at me, and I'm like, really? Of course, as usual, we try to contact the seller, but the seller has turned off that feature unless you're a bidder, and which is not a bidding auction. You can also make an offer on it, and I thought about making a $20 offer on it just for laughs and giggles. In fact, I'll do that because it's about worth $20. Anyway. That's the kind of thing we look for, is just this absolute price gouging, and your poor collectors out there trying to complete your collections. And we've got just a few people out there that are doing this thing called price gouging and artificially inflating the price of Doctor Who items. I mean, yes, there's inflation going on, but it shouldn't affect collectibles, because that is not, anything that is subject to the economy necessarily. I mean, shipping prices may go up. That's but that shouldn't be built into the price of your product. Do your research. Look up closed sales on eBay. Look up prices on Abe's books and compare them carefully for condition and other things like that. This says this is a good condition book, so that doesn't tell me a lot. The pictures look like it's brand new, but he's calling it good. And so a good copy for $2,000. Wow. I could, if I buy up 20 of these at $6 and sell them for $2, I could retire, but no one's going to buy that. That's crazy. So again, that is our most outrageous offer for this episode. If you find an item out there that just seems a bit too high or a little bit crazily overpriced, send us the link or photo of the link or some way to get to us at either Doctor Who Collectors Podcast at gmail.com or message us on Facebook or Twitter. And I will thoroughly check out the link. I will check out other books. I'll see if I can find another one. Usually that's the test there. If I can find another one for a low price, I will go with the fact that it's probably way out the mark. In fact, the fact is that this is about 1,000% higher than where it should be. And we'd love to hear from you. Anyway, that concludes the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast for this episode. I hope you enjoyed our talk on alternative multimedia, in addition to our attempt at a Dalek voice at the beginning of this episode. That was not Nicholas Briggs, by the way, and so hopefully you didn't think that. Anyway, we're looking forward to a couple of future episodes. We're going to be having episodes about Chicago Tardis 2022 coming up soon. We'll also have our classic hardcovers 1980 with Tony Witt. We're also going to look into some other things as well. So if you have a topic you'd like me to cover or something to look at, also shoot us an email, drwhocollectorspodcast at gmail.com. And we are part of the Direction Point Network. Until next time, keep collecting.
A Doctor Who Podcast Network.